P.O.C. That's called amplification. That's amplification. LAPD is flying directly over. These are the demons engaging in what is terrorism in concert while they're monitoring what I'm uploading. He's going to federal prison. And this demon engaged in lying in wait, waiting for me to operate my phone after LAPD flew over at 6:36. He waits to engage in what is amplification. And then as I document this right here, I want you to see this. This is the pettiness of demons and that simultaneity of conduct. That's concerted activity. LAPD that's monitoring, demons that are monitoring what's going on your phone, demons that are monitoring what's going on your phone. As I open up my window, this demon's sitting in the middle of the parking lot, aware of the fact that I'm in motion, waiting to engage in what is reversing, which is light activity and amplification of the movement of a dumpster. That's the amplification of activity creation. And they're both together engaging in what is the futility, the self-destructive behavior that the demons routinely repeat as I document, which is exactly what I'm stating. It's currently 6:41 a.m. This is what the entity repeats while it's in real time monitoring what I'm putting on my phone in concert with Universal Waste Systems, who engages in the demonic behavioral pattern of amplification of audible activity. That is a demon that's in operation of a vehicle, which is under no circumstances going to create an unreasonable nuisance, disruption of sleep. It's not going to create any light activity, by the way, while they're in the parking lot moving across your ceiling. There's never any sunlight that's going to ricochet off of apartment buildings while they're operating a vehicle. That same demon, which represents Universal Waste, documented engaged in what is ongoing state terrorism with impunity. This is what I want to be clear. While they're monitoring what I'm uploading onto my phone, you're looking at ongoing pacing. That's a demon walking on Alvarado Street, which you just saw. That's a demon driving down Alvarado Street. They're engaged in ongoing pacing. They're doing so while they're monitoring. So this is what I'm putting documenting on my phone, and they're engaging in monitoring my phone together because I want to give you the ongoing context as to why the workforce of Universal Waste is going to be subject to what is an entire prosecution, and you have what's going to be federal prison. He waits in the middle of the parking lot as I type in this information that he is acting with LAPD, who flies over my apartment at 6:36. I pick up my phone. The moment that I start typing in this information up here, that's when he engages in what is amplification, simultaneity of conduct, which is demonic in the specific environment. Never does driving your vehicle, this is pacing, going in opposite directions. They're pacing. Never does driving a vehicle create what is light activity moving across your ceiling or move across apartment buildings. This is indeed a demon who's engaged in what is impunity, not emptying garbage, acting in concert with the LAPD, who flies over in relevant position, the heavily documented group stalking conduct by the entity that's acting with ongoing impunity. That whole property is engaged in state terrorism as well, while he waits in the middle of the parking lot right here as I open my window for purposes of what is reversing, which is light activity and amplification. This conduct does not create what is a heightened volume, something that's going to disrupt your sleep. All right, those are plastic tops. There's no earthquake conduct that's going to be created, and this is something that should not disrupt your sleep. This is a demon, and he's going to federal prison. That's license 80746U3. This is psychotic behavior. This is revealing what is the mental illness. Mental illness is made manifest when you are documenting the demon possessed who are monitoring you. This demon, again, is exhibiting psychotic behavior and is targeting someone else and is in every regard showing the threat that they represent to the public. This is another one. He's going to federal prison. He's got a socks hat on. He's going to federal prison. This is, again, license plate 80746U3. He's going to federal prison. The entire workforce for Universal Waste Systems engaged in ongoing state terrorism, acting in concert, not coincidentally, with LAPD that's crossing path. Not coincidentally while I'm documenting the criminal conduct of Universal Waste. P.O.C. Universal Waste regularly engaged in what is state terrorism. Going to federal prison. He's going. You already know the other one, the heavily documented demon that engages in what is terrorism via directed light. You're also looking at a pattern that has nothing to do with the specific actor. It's an entire system acting in concert with the same state that uses your presence and your light activity and your demon possession, which is identified through what is amplification. Okay? This is P.O.C. I captured images. He's going to federal prison. Universal Waste is not going to survive. They're hiring the demon possessed. And let's be reminded about the demon possession of the entire entity. Lying in wait, sitting, a demon's lying in wait, waiting for me to open my window. So then they reverse. That's a demon that's engaging in strategic placement of activity creation while LAPD was flying over at the same exact time. That's called concerted activity. But let's be clear, Universal Waste is not engaged in what is in anything lawful. They have no defense. Let's remember the ongoing terrorism that they are documented as engaging in while the light source is over this property at 9 o'clock in the morning. And you're remembering how the entity is covering up its light source as of late, and then showing it at the second half of the day and setting it in alignment to my apartment, as though anyone has forgotten that the light source is present as a matter of 6:30 in the morning and until the evening setting, as though the sun would ever be present at the same property for the duration of the day. Universal Waste is engaged in ongoing terrorism on behalf of the state of California, representing the state of California, and that employee is going to federal prison, and so is the heavily documented group stalker that routinely comes and engages in the same exact demonic behavioral patterns, by the way. The same exact demonic behavioral pattern. That is with malice and with knowledge. It's not a coincidence that the entity acts in concert with LAPD while I am literally typing out the criminal conduct that they're engaging in. Those demons know exactly, and to their own demise. But let me be clear, it's providence that the demons don't have any self-control. It's providence that the demons can't do anything but engage in their own specific pattern, especially as I've shown it. It is indeed the pattern of conduct, and this is the demonic behavior by the same company, Universal Waste, who's going to federal prison, and everybody at Silverview Townhomes, crossing path in concert with LAPD and the people of the state, Universal Waste. That's why that whole property is going to be federally prosecuted as well. Those are terrorists and sex offenders living in relevant position. Group stalking as a living. All right. And in the same way, they are acting with the same entity and the light sources over this property at 9 o'clock in the morning, by the way. And you saw the entity keeping a light source over me while LAPD was group stalking, showing their demon possession, showing the malice with which the demon possessed entity that is monitoring documentation, revealing their demon possession in the unnatural environment, engage in that same criminal conduct, showing their obsession. All right, while doing so, while covering up a light source in the morning, and that light source still remains in the same position over me at any point in the day when it's revealed, and it stays until the end of the day. Distinct from what is the impossible light activity, which this demon is going to exhibit for the world. He's going to federal prison. This is a separate employee that's arriving with the socks hat on, the NY socks hat on. He's going to federal prison. This is an overweight Latino male engaging in the same demonic behavioral pattern, the same concerted activity with the state, monitoring on the venue of the internet in violation of Title 18. So the entity is doing so while monitoring. This is what Silverview is doing, waiting and lying in wait, pacing in and out of the entrance, okay? That's what they're doing right there. That's called amplification. That's a demon. This is the entity that's engaging in this conduct, Universal Waste, that's not emptying garbage. They're engaged in state surveillance. Let's recall what they engaged in.
They are engaging in monitoring.
This is the light source visible through the window, right over my head, in other words. There's the light source there. You can see it. And this is 9 o'clock in the morning. By the way, never does light move across your ceiling while you're driving a vehicle. That's the conduct of a demon who are operating vehicles calling themselves Universal Waste Systems, engaged in state terrorism, acting in concert with the corrupt law enforcement agency whose demon possession is already readily known and identified. You're understanding what is a system, what is irrespective, has nothing to do with your specific identity. Your identity will be relevant at your federal prosecution because that's when your criminal act is going to be individualized. And as the entity is doing so, again, at 9 o'clock in the morning, the light source is over me, and this same company that's group stalking at 6:49 engaging in the sex offense, here in this video engaging what is workplace terrorism, harassment, and sexual violence, still group stalking in the workplace while I'm subject to the same system, crossing path and engineer light, exhibiting demon possession.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they're engaged in this act of terrorism, coming onto the grounds, engaging in the criminal elements, monitoring with the state and LAPD.
All right, that's engineer light moving all across the building, and that's demonic pacing while you see Ty Lee moving in concert with the vehicle. Pay attention. They're both in sync as they move their person. These are demons that are pacing together in engineered light. You see them moving it. Those are demons that are pacing together. They are acting in sync pursuant to what is a demon that's on both of them. They're acting in sync with regard to what is demon possession, okay? Satan operating over a population, monitoring one person together, and those demons incriminate each other while they act in sync, and that's exactly what you saw. LAPD flying over in relevant position, amplifying, also acting pursuant to what is the targeting that the demons do while they know that they're being documented. They engage in more of the pattern of conduct, revealing the fact that they are engaged in surveillance on the venue of the internet. And let me be clear, prolonged time in federal prison. Dominic Choi is engaged in state terrorism. All of the people that are employed by LAPD are engaged in state terrorism. That entire department is a threat to the public, a threat to the public safety, not only while they engage and hold hands with the people of the state engaged in state terrorism, group stalking, demonic activity, but also while they are a threat in the position of law enforcement and engaging in what is literally beyond there is no legitimacy, there is no purpose other than the fact that they have been dragged down with regard to their entire purpose of existence, serving Satan and doing so in the most shameful and pathetic and despicable manner. Stalking 24 hours a day in helicopters, which is the pattern of conduct. The corrupt law enforcement agencies engage in stalking in helicopters in the specific environment. And at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're recalling what is the light source that's over me while Universal Waste is exhibiting their demon possession. And that's exactly what they exhibited here. Lying in wait, that is maintaining placement while LAPD flies over, engaged in demonic, what is amplification of what is a simple job to do. It's light activity, and it's never going to result in what I've already documented, light activity moving on across my ceiling, which is, again, you've seen they're aiming light activity on the ceiling every single day, right? That's exactly what's moving on my ceiling, as I've already documented them, and they're engaged in demonic conduct. And they do so with impunity. They do so to their own demise. Like you saw this morning, Lucy Santos, who's crossing path in her blue van, she can go to work and she's still being documented engaged in state terrorism. She even went out of her way to engage in crossing path with this demon operating a commercial vehicle today. And that's exactly and Lucy Santos knows exactly what I'm speaking about her because she's group stalking with the entity on an ongoing basis. I want to make sure that you recognize all of that. It's currently 6:51 a.m. This is, again, the entity that is heavily documented group stalking. They're not emptying garbage. Universal Waste is engaged in the state system. This is how you have this impossible light activity.
They're engaged in this act of terrorism, coming onto the grounds, engaging in the criminal elements, monitoring with the state and LAPD.
Okay, sunlight does not ricochet off of your vehicle. That's not sunlight. That's the mark of the ongoing outward identification, in other words, the outward demonstration of demon possession. Stalking with engineered light that you see appearing on my ceilings and moving all across my walls while demons are driving up and down Alvarado, group stalking, while demons are living next door, group stalking, while demons are pacing on and on the property, group stalking. While they're doing so, that's Ryan Abundis, who's going to federal prison. Him and Clarissa Abundis and both of their children are going to be taken because they pose a threat to the public. They're violent sex offenders and terrorists who act with impunity, including those minor children, abusing them, by the way, which the federal government has literally witnessed them do so. They're losing custody. So I want to be clear. The entity is engaging in what is group stalking while they're in the environment, and the entity is Universal Waste Systems. And that was concerted conduct. While they were monitoring what I was typing on my phone screen, the moment that I type this, immediately the entity is engaging in this concerted conduct. So those were demons that were lying in wait. Let me show you my camera. Those were demons that were lying in wait, aware of what I was typing, immediately start sounding more audible activity, more amplification, and they engage in lying in wait, waiting for me to come out. This demon was lying in wait in the middle of the parking lot, engaged for purposes of engaging what is reversal, which is light activity, audible activity, and then the amplification, that is the heightened volume. Everything that a demon does is extraordinarily louder than it naturally is. That's how I'm able to hear demons in a helicopter flying in a circle, pacing at a great distance, which would be impossible for me to hear their targeting. This is equally amplified audible activity while a demon is operating a vehicle, and you already know that because you've seen the demons demonstrate the fact that they are demons and they're group stalkers, engaging what is state terrorism with that same corrupt entity using helicopters to engage in terrorism while light is flickering off of onto walls while they're just driving a vehicle. None of that is ever naturally happening, nor was that volume naturally occurring, nor are they ignorantly acting in concert with the entity that's stalking in helicopters, nor are they doing so coincidentally while I just so happen to be preparing what is my documentation about them. That is the state surveillance system. And Universal Waste, like they have demonstrated today, their entire workforce, which I've already spoken to, the people of the state, and there is no exception. That's why you have the specific environment remaining over me all day long. This is the same property where you already saw 9 o'clock in the morning where all demons are demonstrating their demon possession, Universal Waste. But then you're remembering what the entity is engaging in. This is the same demon possession. Okay, this is a demon operating a commercial vehicle. That license plate and the image of that driver, he's going to federal prison. And he's going for a long time. Then you're going to permeate the life of that demon who's a terrorist, engaging in what is state terrorism with corrupt law enforcement agencies that will kidnap you, make up information as though they have any probable cause or facts about a crime that you have allegedly engaged in with the same entity, the people of the state. These demons that are monitoring you and group stalking you are the ones that they're acting in concert with, that get into courtrooms where criminal activity is underway, and they bear false witness about you. They bear false witness about your mental health as well, while their mental illness is revealed through their criminal activity. That's the malice of federal group stalking and monitoring. All right, and let me be clear, Universal Waste is a malicious guise under which state surveillance is underway. That's light activity, and this is impunity. This demon isn't waiting to turn on Alvarado. This demon is listening to every syllable that I'm uttering about him. He can listen to me tell him he's going to federal prison. If he has any kids, he's losing those. He will be subject to what is publishing. That's crossing path while another demon drives on Alvarado. He can engage in what is, you're going to permeate the life of this terrorist, and he's going to not only go into federal prison, but he's going to be marked as, and literally published by the Department of Justice, as a group stalker, which is terrorism in America. So that's what he just accomplished, group stalking in a parking lot, when all he had to do, all Satan had to do was empty the dumpster. But this is what Satan is incapable of doing. This is obsession that you're witnessing. This is the obsession by the demon-possessed population who cannot help itself. So now when their secret system is no longer a secret, you're witnessing their obsession. They cannot help themselves. They're violent sex offenders, okay? This is impunity, relevant positioning, and light activity in the engineered environment where you're understanding what is the significance. This is the same thing that he was engaging in, where engineered light is moving across a building while you're crossing path. He's doing the same thing sitting there with his lights on this vehicle. It's light activity. It's the same exact conduct. Light is never ricocheting off of buildings. All right, that's a method of light activity and crossing path. That's a group stalker, and that's a demon that's group stalking you. And he is stalking in the path right now. This is representation of a company engaged in criminal conduct on behalf of the state, commercial stalking, as I've referred to it, and doing so while the people of the state pacing up and down. Those are demons that are pacing with light activity, maintaining surveillance, engaging in demonic behavior, and this is an act of retaliation by a psychopath, which is the affect, the personality defect of somebody that has the spirit of Satan on them. Remember, this is demonic activity, and it's criminal. This is an act of retaliation. This is a threat to your life. Right? It's light activity, it's relevant positioning, and that's a threat by the state. It is state action. So I want to make sure you understand that. It is as threatening, it is as terrorizing as engineer light moving across a building. When you are crossing path, doing so on behalf of the state in an unnatural environment in the workplace.
In the criminal elements monitoring with the state and LAPD. That is the impossible light moving
It
across
is
the building.
as threatening, it is as terrorizing, it is criminal facilitation with this state that's flying over, repeatedly so, while I'm documenting them. And they do so in concert with the people who are routinely and systematically, seamlessly engaging in criminal conduct, which is of a sexual nature, which is what Universal Waste is engaging in. This Latino male wearing this black hat, who knows that he's being documented, is engaged in what is impunity, lording on weight, staying in your face, and monitoring you, group stalking you in your face, doing so through a commercial means. Everything about that criminal conduct, everything about that commercial actor is being exposed to what is draining the pockets. Universal Waste does not have enough money to compensate me for the terrorism that I've documented them engaging in systematically on behalf of the state. Nor does this third party. He's going to federal prison. And this impunity, let me be clear, the federal judge is going to remember this impunity. The duration of time they're wasting, this isn't traffic, this isn't checking, oh, where am I going next? This is a demon that's monitoring everything that I'm stating, and they just engaged in criminal conduct so that the world could recognize demon possession. I want to make sure that you are aware of everything that the entity just engaged in. They're acting in concert with these demons that are stalking in relevant position, and let's recall the demons that they're acting with. This is indeed concerted conduct. These same demons engaging in what is stalking for 47 minutes, flying in a circle, all right, engaged in an ongoing pattern of terrorism, exhibiting the fact that you're demon-possessed is terrorism, and you do that while you engage in the criminal elements of monitoring. You're exhibiting your demon possession. You're exhibiting your demon possession as an act of retaliation while you're monitoring me on the venue of the internet, and you repeat that course of conduct with the intent to retaliate to your own demise. That's terrorism, and you're doing so in concert with a corrupt law enforcement agency, which is a whole other distinct level of terrorism, which the people of the state are going to be prosecuted for. And this is, by the way, this is the affect. This is the result of serving Satan. The demon-possessed do not have any ability to control themselves. This is substantiating what is the need for routine mental examinations. This is where the mental illness is made manifest. This is somebody that is, and by somebody, I mean you're talking about a population, the demon-possessed are engaged in exhibiting their obsession. This is why they're group stalking you, seeking to do so maliciously and secretly, and then where that secret has been revealed, it's not a secret anymore, then you can clearly see that obsession. The inability or the unwillingness to cease engaging in what they're doing so, including while the demons are a part of a law enforcement agency. All right, this is the entity that was group stalking. I want you to see this. It's 47 minutes is how long this video is, and that's how long that these demons that are the LAPD that were group stalking with this entity that's maintaining relevant positioning and light activity, which is the communication of a threat by a demon that's monitoring your documentation. This is the same entity that's group stalking, acting in concert, lying in wait in the parking lot while those demons that are monitoring, flying over in relevant position in a helicopter. These are the same demons that you saw group stalking. Let me be clear, in the evening at 6:48, when you're remembering on April, let's get the group stalking on April at 9 o'clock in the morning.
While Tayyim is in
9 o'clock in the morning. Hold on. Let's remember the demonic possession of the entire entity. 9 o'clock in the morning, April 29th. The light source is over me. I'm at the same property where there would never be sunlight over the same hillside. I'm inside of the same apartment at 6:48 p.m. You're looking at the light source in alignment to me all day long. That's never the natural environment, nor is sunlight ever ricocheting off of your vehicle, nor is sunlight ever appearing on your ceiling inside of a building, nor does any light coexist with what is your demonic crossing a path on Alvarado and moving in a parking lot such as Universal Waste and creating light activity. That's the pattern of group stalkers, though, who are demon possessed. And the more that you document, the more that the entity engages in their criminal conduct. That's crossing path. The demons exhibit their hostility while you expose their criminal conduct. This is a population that's demon possessed, which is exposing what is a population, of ticking time bombs, psychopaths, who are currently in custody of minor children. They're currently exposed to the public. That's what this demon operating a commercial vehicle exhibits. These demons that are in lift vehicles, by the way, coming onto the property, doing the exact same thing that Universal Waste has engaged in. Engineer light coming toward me while they're crossing path. They're engaging in terrorism as a population in concert with the corrupt law enforcement agency who is clearly stalking. They're stalking together, and that's what I captured, by the way, at 6:48, where there would never be any sun anywhere near the same exact address at 9 o'clock when you're remembering Universal Waste is group stalking and admitting that they're group stalking, admitting that they're terrorists, admitting that they're demon possessed in doing so. And you're looking at the same thing when you're looking at engineer light all over the hillside. That hillside is filled with group stalkers, and they're all going to be prosecuted for what I'm documenting again on another day. All right. Universal Waste is not systematically engaged in the pattern of conduct on behalf of the state alone. Universal Waste represents the people of the state, and this entire population is engaged in systematic facilitation in concert with the state. And that's how you have this engineered environment, and you have what is the entity that is group stalking in a video again today on June 3rd, 2024 in the specific environment. And there is no iteration of the natural environment. In other words, never are you forgetting the fact that this is the equally impossible environment, the specific environment, the crime scene where state terrorism is ceaselessly underway while a demon-possessed entity that is obsessively group stalking, despite the fact that the entirety of their criminal system has been identified and revealed. That's relevant to how long you will sit in federal prison, since you want to and intend to pose a threat to one person and continuously pose that threat. You're not only a threat to the target individual, you're a threat to the public. And this is exactly what the federal court will remember and recognize at federal prosecution. Okay, I have referred to it as malice and impunity. This entire department, the LAPD, is exhibiting that, and so are the people of the state. Now, I want you to look at this video because these demons, and they're exhibiting the fact that they're demons because this is engineered light, not sunlight. The sun that's over me at 9 o'clock in the morning at the same address, Alvarado Gardens, is not going to be the sun that's still stationary present at the end of the day at 6:48 p.m. over the same hillside. That's not the sun. And let's count the hours together. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 hours. 9 hours later, the gaseous ball of fire that is the sun, that is not, by the way, in perfect alignment to my window on the third floor, or in perfect alignment with an apartment building on the second floor, such that you can see the image of that light source through that window. That's a hovering light source, and it's the same thing that's exhibited when you're looking at them through the windshields or through the side windows. This is a hovering light source that's directly above my head. It is literally witnessing their demon possession made manifest, because this entire environment is a scientific impossibility. That's a hovering light source. That's not the sun that will be far above us over our head. And this is revealing to you the reality of Satan. Satan is a spirit. So that's what I'm speaking to, the reality of Satan and the reality of demon possession. Satan is present via people. People are nothing other than vessels, and they are acting out the mental psychosis, the personality defect, the psychopath, the obsession, the hostility, okay, the unwarranted hatred, okay? Group stalking by those that you don't even know, okay? Do you know what that hatred is born of? Because they serve Satan. They don't even know why they are group stalking you and why they are hostile to you. And that's exactly what's exhibited while you're documenting the pattern of conduct by a demon. It's exhibiting, and it is reasonably construed while they're group stalking in concert with corrupt law enforcement agencies who are kidnapping you, making up information about you, trying to criminally defame you, trying to take your liberty, stealing your property, damaging your property, okay? Damaging your reputation. This is exhibiting what is the hostility by the demon possessed. And it is directly attributed to what is, again, not legally relevant for purposes of your federal prosecution. Satan will have nothing to do with that because you serve Satan, however, and you're exhibiting your mental illness. That's how it's relevant. And the world should know what's wrong with you and what's going on in the world. That should be known. But nonetheless, you're engaged in criminal conduct of your own volition while you're aware of the fact that you're being documented, which is also established by the evidence. And you're going to federal prison for that. The entity is group stalking with the LAPD, who you see for 47 minutes, group stalking, flying in a circle in the specific environment. Never is the sun going to be present in any position to aim sunlight over this hillside. I just documented this whole hillside. I just documented this whole population engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring with the same entity that's group stalking in this video. Not accidentally, not coincidentally. Universal Waste acting in sync with the state. This is P.O.C.
Incriminating the Fontana Police Department, who are engaging in that criminal activity as well in the city of Fontana on the same day at 8437 as I continue to walk around that environment where you're looking at engineer light over the church.
So I'm reciting the P.O.C. and I'm reciting the ongoing pattern of group stalking in this same manner by law enforcement agencies well before I have the opportunity to expose and prosecute and punish by virtue of my advocacy of very specific, more specific policies to deal with what is being revealed to the world and being revealed to the country, being revealed to the federal government, that the state governments are monitoring American citizens, and monitoring is of the demonic, and it should be legally relevant with regard to prosecution for terrorism. Now that this is no longer a fallacy, and not only the fact that it's not a fallacy, the P.O.C. reveals how the demons do it, okay? And the significance of permitting demons to remain in positions that they're in the government and in society. This is what I'm describing in my video, and all of these demons are doing are flying in a circle, and I want to be clear, they did this for 47 minutes. 47 minutes flying in a circle, and what you're looking at on the hillside is the light getting brighter and dimmer. That's called light activity, and it has nothing to do with the sun. All right, that is the criminal monitoring by the entire population. It's a communication of hostility by the entire population that is demon possessed. This is what Universal Waste is engaging in, using a commercial vehicle, just remaining in relevant position, using the vehicle lights. They're stalking in the path with light. This is what LAPD is doing, and it's occurring through the quote unquote natural environment that you were formerly ignorant about, not recognizing that. Not only are you going to prosecute the stalker for stalking you, everything that stalker does, and by the way, the stalker is Mary Jane and Joe. Remember, Mary Jane and Joe are engaged in a conspiracy to target an American citizen together. Mary Jane is the state, Joe is the people of the state, and they're acting as one, and they're doing so in an environment, and they're communicating a threat. Any and everything that Mary Jo and Jane say, they say as one, as they are communicating a threat as one, and that threat is also reasonably deduced from the unnatural environment where they're targeting you. It's also it is revealing Mary Jo and Jane are no ordinary stalker, not only because they represent the state that's maliciously targeting an American citizen in violation of your constitutional human rights, but they're doing so while they are demon possessed. That's a whole other legally relevant aspect to what the criminal conduct that a corrupt government is engaging in. And this is the entity that was group stalking for 47 minutes. This is the entity that flew over my flew in relevant position while I just so happen to be documenting the criminal conduct of Universal Waste. That's not coincidental. The fact that I'm documenting and they're engaged in what is a heightened level of activity, that was ambush conduct. Those are animals. Those are animals. You take animals off of the street that are posing a threat, you lay them down, right? Okay, well, federal prosecution is analogous to laying them down because they cannot control themselves. They cannot control themselves. This is a public safety concern. It is an emergency for so long as the target individual remains subject to this criminal activity. All right, that's the entity that's flying over my apartment at 151, 529, 636, and immediately following. So after I type this up, 6:41 a.m. as I open my window, that's that demon-possessed entity that's acting in concert. Universal Waste is only a name whereby you're identifying a method that the people of the state are systematically and as an entire entity group stalking. That's what traffic on Alvarado Street, the entity, is maintaining present. They're engaging in criminal conduct together with knowledge. Okay, the demon possessed, they're so psychotic, they're doing so while they are monitoring the documentation about their criminal system that's no longer a secret. Only a psychopath would engage in that level of criminal conduct. And those psychopaths make up Dominic Choi and the LAPD and the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. It is currently 7:09 a.m. on what is June 3rd, 2024. And this is P.O.C.